So we have to take, I think we have to walk the walk and take specific action in a number of areas. But everybody's got to come up with the ideas for this, and everybody's got to collaborate and come together in doing so. And so if you all will humor me, I'd like to share some of the things that have been started. Most of this started, frankly, last semester, but it's certainly ongoing as well, just to kind of give you a taste of the different things that have been started, as well as to really exemplify how much we need all the different areas and units across campus to participate in this moving forward. So I'll start with the Office of Legal Affairs, who, by the way, we have an amazing new VP, General Counsel. Have you all met Wakego? Have you had her come speak to you before?
Not here, no.
I would encourage you to. Every time I hear her speak, I learn something. So I would strongly encourage that you invite her. But here's some examples from the Office of Legal Affairs. So recently they provided, and by the way, the Office of Legal Affairs, of course, is all the general counsel and lawyers for the university, but the Public Safety Office also reports up through that office, and the Office of Institutional Equity also reports through that office as well. So there's multiple responsibilities. So one example, provided reference materials to all students, faculty, and staff from the Office of Institutional Equity, OIE, on how to report concerns to Kennesaw State. And I will say, one of the things that I've heard from many students and others is we don't know where to go. Right? When something happens, or we want to report something, or we want something to be brought forward, we literally do not know where to call, who to call, or where to go to report such a thing. And in looking into it, I found that we actually have a pretty robust infrastructure of appropriate places to report things to be investigated, but people don't know about them. So we have a communication problem in terms of figuring out how we make that more transparent. Because again, to address a lot of these issues and problems, we need people to speak up so they can be investigated and dealt with as appropriate as well. So communication, of course, is the universal challenge in so many areas. Legal Affairs still participated in a meeting with student leaders and representatives from key university divisions, including the Kennesaw State University Police Department, on efforts to communicate better with campus. And they actually had a recent meeting. And Wakego reported to me that during the meeting, the students who participated, was anyone in the room at that meeting? One, okay, so I'll say this and then you correct me, okay, or contradict me. So she reported to me that during the meeting, you all expressed appreciation for the opportunity to meet and the information that was actually provided, but you also spoke up and gave some good feedback about how KSU could better communicate with the campus, which was really one of the challenges. So would you add anything to that? Folks that were there?
I believe what President Whitten is referring to is the wake-up call event that was hosted in the social sciences room.
Nope, this is different. I'm sure that there's
I
lots
apologize,
going on.
but that had a lot of great administrative and student representation where the campus police and OIE got to speak, and students did get to hear their feedback. So.
Awesome, very good. Yet another event. So and I should stress, I'm giving a sampling of things. I'm not going to be exhaustive, or we'll be here all night.
Yes, ma'am. So my director of procedural operations and I were in that meeting, and it was incredibly productive. I appreciated the candor that took place, and a lot of the students were able to bring information directly to those decision makers, and especially Chief Stevens was able to shed some light on what it looks like from their end, which I think a lot of students were craving at that time.
Good.
So it was very productive.
That's good. We need more of it.
Definitely.
Obviously. Continuing on, Legal Affairs presented to CORED, which is the Council on Racial and Ethnic Diversity, on policies and procedures relating to safety and communication on campus that, again, people just aren't clear on. Working with the Office of Human Resources as well as internal audit at the university to engage with various campus organizations to host face-to-face meetings to address reporting and investigating concerns. Again, the university has to hear about them to deal with them as well. Incorporating new information in the development and implementation of upcoming KSU new supervisor training. In response to, this is a very recent one, in response to faculty and student concerns, KSU Police Department has removed the, have you guys heard of the BOLO, Be on the Lookout monitors that are up from OWL TV? Well, that's gone now. And we're looking into, was that effective and why was that done anyway, frankly, as well. Okay, Office of Human Resources, another entire, very large division across the university, frankly, that needs to do much to be contributing to these efforts and goals and values that we have as well. Examples, they have now contracted with external diversity specialists to assist in effectively recruiting more diversely across staff positions. They're providing training for the KSU Talent Acquisition Team. That's fancy words for the folks that recruit through HR on campus. To assist in finding diverse candidates to be considered for positions at the university. They're working with the LGBTQ Commission at campus on issues relating to transgender students, faculty, and staff. They're planning for training on campus for search committees in order to improve diversity in candidate pools. And I cannot stress enough how important it is to set up search processes for both faculty and staff positions to have diverse pools of candidates. But you can't hire a diverse array, a wide array of faculty and staff if you don't have diverse pools in the first place of candidates. And that is not something we have focused on like we should in the past, but we are now. Including diversity and inclusion training and revised orientation and onboarding programs that will provide some focus on cultural differences and cultural appropriateness. The creation of a focused office now exists in Human Resources, just opened up, responsible for all things related to multicultural issues as well. Another big old division, and I really am not going to go on and on. I'm just going to give some examples. Another example, of course, is the Division of Student Affairs, which is an area in the university that, frankly, should have enormous real estate in working with you all as students and providing programs and understanding how to respond, not just with kind of fixed, planned things, but also how you respond when things happen appropriately to make sure students are engaged and able to participate and share thoughts and ideas. So Division of Student Affairs participating also with Core Ed to discuss communication efforts and policies related to campus safety. Have a listening session with students from Trends Global relating to the desire for a greater understanding of diverse cultural perspectives. This one I want to do a shout out and a thank you all for I'm giving credit to Student Affairs, but credit really goes to students. Counselors and leadership coordinated with SGA, ASA, and other student groups to hold listening sessions last week on both campuses and address student concerns. Were any of you at that event? Thank you so much. My only response is, what took so long? And I don't mean to be disrespectful, but those are exactly the types of events we should be having on campus, I think, and bringing folks together to discuss important, timely, and sensitive topics as well. Facilitated a workshop with students to provide guidance on how to report incident biases. The RSO leaders have received diversity training and freedom of expression training at the required annual RSO conference in August, and all RSO student leaders and faculty and staff are, of course, invited to this. The Department of Fraternity and Sorority Life actually hosted a leadership retreat in December. Was anybody at that in this room? I went and spoke to them about a different issue. I was so impressed. We were all done. We finished our finals. We graduated. We left. And this pretty large group of students came for at least a day. It might have been longer than that for a pretty significant and serious workshop on a lot of important and timely topics. But in that time frame, that in December, they included diversity training, safety and security, emergency reporting, and policy review themselves as a group. Just this past November, there was a university-wide diversity conference that was held thanks to Student Affairs that brought external speakers to campus and provided a forum for collaboration and education. If any of you attended, please speak up because we're doing it again this fall. And if you have ideas for things that you really liked that should be done again, speak up. If you have ideas for holes and other things we need to do, speak up. There's time because we're putting it together now for next fall as well. The Unity Center in Marietta, of course, on this campus, provides space for students to come together as a community to host open discussions and issues. And this center, of course, provides space that's been used and is used as a resource for the African American Male Initiative Study Hall. And I know that because I crashed it once. I just kind of walked in and said, hey, talk to me. Tell me what's going on. And they were very, very kind. International Student Association, LGBTQ Resource, and the Women of Color Success Initiative, amongst many others as well. So those are examples of things from Student Affairs. And I could go on in terms of now that we have a new provost and what the provost office is starting to launch in terms of ideas and initiatives as well. But one that I do want to make sure that I talk about with you all before I use all of your time this evening has to do with campus-wide or a university-wide resource that's in play, and that is the Office of Diversity and Inclusion at the university. And just to be very frank with you, as I was having conversations last semester with all types of folks across both campuses, there was a fairly resounding cry of disappointment with that centralized office on this campus. Certainly there are some good things that come from that office, but disappointment in terms of what it could and should be doing as a resource for the entire campus, as well as an opportunity for exciting new programs to really help with the success of various groups across campus, as well as dealing with the harder, more sensitive issues that we really need to confront as well as a campus. And so we have actually launched a national search for a new Chief Diversity Officer at Kennesaw State. And if you don't know about that, I don't have the URL. You could Google it or you could email me and I could tell you, because we put a URL up for this because we're quite serious about it. We've hired an external search firm that's not cheap, but they have a track record of successfully placing this position at about a dozen other universities. And so I think it's important that we get some good help in this. And this is going to be something that I'm very hopeful the campus community really participates in. And so the finalists are planned to be on campus hopefully at the end of April. So we want to get this person hired and brought onto our campus this semester. And it's going to be very public. And you are all going to be invited to attend and meet and ask questions, certainly hard probing questions. It'll also be your job to get these people excited about coming to this university for the transformational opportunity of change that they could bring to us as well. And we will set up a mechanism so that you can give feedback. And it can either be, feedback that you're comfortable speaking up and having tied to your name. It will also be done in a way that you can send anonymous feedback that only I will see, because I want to hear everybody's voice across campus about these folks as well. I think this is a really important pivotal hire. I think there is so much leadership needed and excitement and effort in terms of really assessing our campus and looking at the shortfall and where there are opportunities and redesigning the entire Office of Diversity and Inclusion for the university as well. And so that's a larger university-wide initiative, of course, that's coming as well. So I will stop there, but just want you all to understand that we have only just started with all of this. We are identifying things that we actually need to be doing across the university. We will always be identifying things, but hopefully we'll get some strong leadership and help across multiple units on the campus. But I want to conclude by making sure that you all understand when I say multiple units, I mean you all too. This only works, we only shift and change this climate if students are deeply engaged as well. And so I'm happy to certainly hear and entertain any specific ideas that you all have for things that we should implement. Because again, as I said before, I think action is important and we need to be doing things as well. We also need to be thinking about specific things to address some of our challenges. We also need to be thinking about positive things to do as well. Sometimes carrots are a successful way of helping to move culture as well. So if you all want to suggest anything tonight, that's fine, but you also can obviously you can reach out to me anytime personally, and then we will have a Chief Diversity Officer hopefully on this campus soon that will serve as a pivotal spokesperson for the entire campus that I am quite sure you will be seeing at your SGA meetings. If they're not, we got a problem with who we hired as well. So I will stop on that note and invite anyone that wants to make suggestions or even just comments about anything that I talked about tonight, the academic side as well as the diversity and inclusion value side of things.
I know as a member of the search committee for the Chief Diversity Officer, I will keep you guys informed when I can, and I will post the link in our GroupMe so you guys can go to the website that the president is talking about. And I'm excited for that committee to get started. Just to let you guys know, you've got a forceful team on it, so I'm very honored to serve with them. I would like to open the floor to questions for the president. We are very blessed to have her in our presence. She is incredibly busy and has taken time to come be with us, so please ask her some questions. And I know that she's open to even the difficult ones. Those are the ones that make her excited. So right now I'd like to open the floor to questions from the Senate, and then I'll move to the audience if you guys have questions. So what is the first one? Senator Coakley. You can use mine.
Senator Coakley, you're for the College of Engineering and Engineering Technology. You mentioned near the beginning the talk of like an academic learning center that's coming to Kennesaw campus. You mentioned at the beginning of your talk the academic learning center that's coming to the Kennesaw campus. Hopefully.
It's not through the general assembly yet.
Okay, cool. Could you speak on any projects that might be hopeful for the Marietta campus?
So there has been, prior to my coming here, actually the last several large initiatives have related to construction and renovation have actually been on this campus. And so this is, kind of the large classroom building that's coming. But I do know, and I'm sorry I won't be able to speak specifically, there's about to be a very significant revision. Can you help me with this? There's 4 new labs that are being built. It's over by the old engineering building. Can I email you? Because there's about to be a new project that's launched. I'm sorry not to speak intelligently about it, with some new space as well as some renovated space for labs and other things that, if they haven't broken ground on it, that actually happens pretty soon as well. We're also looking at, right now, a plan for potential renovations to not the gymnasium, but the rec center on campus as well. And there's something kind of cool we're thinking about. I'm not going to say it yet, just in case it doesn't come through, because you'd be disappointed if it didn't happen. As well. So those are the 2 that initially I can think of. Email me if you want more details on the construction that's about to start.
Senator of Student Athletics. Hey, how you doing? Are you aware of the group that met in the social science today saying hate speech is free speech and pretty much messing with students that came by? They had these pamphlets for the uneducated, unemployed students, and it seemed like they was typically handing it out to students of color. Do you have a certain plan for handling events like this happening on campus?
I'm sorry, I'm not aware of that happened today. Was it students or was it just people off the street that came and did it?
Honestly, I don't know. They looked my age, but so.
Well, they could still be people.
Yeah, so I'm not sure.
No, I'll bring it back and ask about it. I'm sorry, Michael, were you aware of that either?
Did anybody call and report this to anybody?
Yeah, the cops came, but yeah.
Okay.
I will follow up with Chief and get those details, but also know, of course, always call the police when you have safety and security concerns, but when in doubt, if there's questions about activities going on that you're not sure about, call the Dean of Students office. I will walk over. Whatever we need to do, we'll do.
Thank you.
Senator Duclair for the College of Humanities and Social Sciences. So my question kind of touches on the same thing. We talk a lot about diversity and inclusion on campus, and of course, part of that, that's one thing about that the students really take a hold of is free speech, the opportunity and the openness to be a part of the things that we want to. And I have a respect for everyone's opinion, regardless if they align with my own. But there have been a lot of instances where there are people, whether they're students or in my case, I experienced recently just a random man off the street who was holding a huge sign with a bunch of derogatory terms that could be applicable to students all over campus, and basically trying to use religious means to justify those, words of hate. And there's cops around and they're protecting him, of course, just making sure that there's order, but the thing is there's nobody stopping it. And I know that there's RSOs, especially RSOs that are majority minority students, who will be reprimanded for playing music on the green too loud, or dancing, or getting in groups in front of the commons and playing music. And those things are shut down so quick, but when other people, especially someone who isn't a part of our campus, it's not a part of our campus community at all, and their actions are justified. So I know that, Dr. Santaviro and you guys are here for those things, but is there a way that we can communicate that to our I guess campus police, because they're the ones who are always there witnessing it without taking action? Is there any way we can communicate with them the types of things that are okay and not okay? I agree with free speech, but I don't agree with words of hate, especially when they're targeted, as he touched on.
Yeah, no, I understand it, and I appreciate your question, and sympathize with it. I am deeply offended by certain things people say and do, and I'm particularly offended when it's directed at any of you, because you're our students, and it's just not okay. this is a complex, confusing topic. And I would really encourage you to bring Wakago in to talk about it, because there are laws related to what you can and can't say, all of us, both on campus and off campus, that are complicated and sometimes frustrating, but they are the law, which sometimes prohibits police and from others from being able to do things that we might seem like common sense to actually do. I'm not a lawyer, so I'm not going to be able to speak as well as Wakago would be able to speak about it. But I think this would be a very useful conversation, and I'll be honest with you, I think it extends beyond you all. I think there would be a number of students that would be very interested in hearing this and learning where there is opportunity to address things that are inappropriate and offensive, and where there are strict legal lines. And we all attend a public university, and there are wonderful things about being in a public university. I would never work anywhere but a public university personally, but there are also things that come with that in terms of things that people can do and say that by law have to be allowed. I can't speak to the specifics of them necessarily, but I really would encourage you guys to not only invite Wakago here, but to even be thinking about if these would be useful sessions, if there'd be students beyond you that would be interested in talking about this and coming up with ideas for it as well. I can give you her contact information if you want to reach out to me.
Okay, it's working. Senator Rumbaugh for the Wellstar College of Health and Human Services. Thank you so much for coming out tonight. I know you touched on, you're looking into finding more course like sections for students who are having trouble getting into classes for graduation. Would you mind elaborating a little bit more on how you're finding out which classes students are struggling to get into, whether it's lower or upper division?
So I have hired a whole bunch of new leadership at this university in the last six or 7 months, if you haven't noticed it, and there's much more coming. And one of the areas that just frankly was a weakness for us was in the area of what's called institutional research. And that's just a fancy way of saying the part of the university that keeps the data that we can then use to analyze to understand issues and problems. So we recruited a new gentleman named Mark Byrd, who started the end of last semester. He actually came to us from Wayne State in Detroit, who had done a similar job there. And my experience with him so far is he gets it. And so basically I've gone forth and said, I need data on A through Z, and they're running it and analyzing, and that's the stuff that we're starting to look at. So for example, we've gathered data on, I'm sorry not to have it in front of me, but certainly could share it with you all, looking at courses by year, right? So both by campus, but also by freshman, or by level, 1, 2, 3, 4, et cetera. And seeing how many are met, like in terms of people not being able to get in, and then where, literally where the holes are and where the biggest holes are. So we can pinpoint the level and the classes where there's the biggest either pent-up demand or literally just not enough seats at this time. So we've started with that. Now the other part that we have to do is we have to understand the resources we have, right? So we have to really get a handle and understand, if we look at all of our faculty and if we look at their teaching loads, et cetera, how does that match what we actually need for you guys? And so we've done that part. Now we have to do this part that we're doing now and over the summer. We have a new provost that's leading that as well. And then we'll be able to identify, okay, here's some areas where we just don't have enough faculty. There literally will not ever be enough faculty, so that's where we need to add some, right? Or here's some areas where there's excess capacity. So maybe as we hire in the future, we need to be thinking about these other areas as well. So we're matching those two together. So it's a great big old data dump and analysis. But then sometimes we're still constrained by space, right? Anybody ever had trouble getting in a chemistry lab, for example, or a physics lab? It's hard, isn't it? And as I said, the new labs that we're building on this campus that I referenced, we're literally making, when it wasn't intended, we're going to make one of chemistry just to try to add to help that backlog. But those are hard because they're very expensive because of the fume hoods, et cetera, that are required. It's not as easy as just going, well, let's just make this room a chemistry lab and we can alleviate the demand. So there are a few areas where we're constrained by the space and the resources as well. It's funny, I asked a group of students at a lunch probably a month or two ago, I said, well, would students, if we added it, would they want to do the lab on Sunday afternoon? just to try to get, that's the face they made, just to try to at least make it available for them to graduate, and they just went, no. So just try to think about anything we can do in the short term till we have the resources we need. But that was the exact face they made, which was,
Senator for Non-Traditional Students. Good evening, Dr. Witten. I met you back in the,
Sure.
I remember meeting you at the luncheon we had before school started. But one thing I hear from my constituents often regarding classes is lack of later classes sometimes for non-traditional students who may have a traditional job, 9 to 5 type of situation, and then they come here and they can't get evening classes because they don't have them. You're talking about more availability, but some classes are offered only one time a semester with one professor at this one time, and if they can't get that, then they can't quit their job. They can't afford to pay it. So graduation just gets pushed back, and everything gets pushed back. Every other class gets pushed back in hopes of that prereq or that other course that they need in terms of trying to get there.
Thank you. And so that's part of my comment about right-sizing scheduling and figuring out when things should be offered. We do have a lot in the evening. I mean, one of the things that blows me away is that some of your classmates are sitting in a classroom at 10:30 at night. Sometimes I don't know about you. I would not be my best in a classroom teaching or taking at 10:30 at night, but I know people have different schedules, as well. But so I tend to hear more the opposite, that we don't want so many classes so late instead. But that is certainly part of what we need to look at. We also, frankly, have to expand in the summer more. And so I'm going to make another plea to you all. I have instructed or asked all the deans to pursue a 20% increase in summer enrollment this summer. Students who take courses in the summer graduate faster than students who never take courses in the summer. Now, having said that, I really want you all to do internships and study abroads. If you're like me, you have to work all summer to earn money for college for the next year. And so part of what I think needs to happen is we need to be much more aggressive with those being online, available online for you as well. But I would make the plea to really start talking to folks and participating in really upping our game in the summer for you all as well. We have had slower increases in the summer than I've seen nationally. Across the U.S., most universities have dramatically grown summer enrollment because students have figured out that's how I make faster progression toward degrees. We haven't done that as much here, and so that's a big piece of what we need to do. Hold on one second. I think he had his hand up.
Hey, how are you, President Witten? Sorry, I'm trying to reference some documents off of like fiscalservices.kennesaw.edu. And right now what I'm looking at is a link that was labeled fall and spring and summer of 2018, 2019, 2019. However, it doesn't necessarily say summer on the document once you click on it. But looking at our like in-state and out-of-state tuition rates and student fees, I know we've already made an effort to kind of like adjust student fees for people that are over 5 hours and then like 4 hours or less. And then if you're taking, like it looks like tuition maxes out once you hit 15 credit hours, kind of incentivizing that 16th, 17th, and 18th. I think those are like free, if I'm not mistaken. I'm not sure if this is like a max chart that has that, but I was talking to students from IUPUI, student representatives from that school.
IUPUI in Indianapolis.
Yes, and they said that something that their school did to kind of incentivize summer courses was to either bring down student fees in the summer or potentially doing something like we might have in place already where like if you're taking 6 credit hours, you're paying for all of those credit hours, and then maybe 7, 8, and 9 are incentivized, or even more. I mean, at some point it becomes a burden to the student. That might actually hurt them rather than help them if they're taking so many, but maybe some sort of incentivization process for summer courses.
I really appreciate your comments. One thing that I did mention is part of the reason that I'm really pushing the online in the summer is because you don't have to pay the fees if you take a course online. And so I think that's smart.
I remember when I was doing a full-time internship last summer, I was still required, because I was taking an online class to get credit for that, I was still required to pay like the rec fees and such, even though I was working like 40, 45 hours a week and I wasn't going to have access or time to go, I was still required to pay those fees. So I definitely want to echo Treasurer Har that that would definitely be huge incentive if I wasn't graduating to get those alleviated.
Great, thank you. So I will tell you that I am having an ongoing series of meetings with our CFO and our controller about creative ways we can think about starting to impact fees and costs. If you all have specific ideas, send them my way, because we need to be creative with this. Now, I also want to make really clear that, of course, that nothing in life is free, right? So as we reduce student fees, there is less money on hand to do things for you. And so that means certain services have to go away. So that and student fees are declining anyway. Students don't realize that. As an increasing number of our student population is totally online, I think it's about 3,500 now, they don't pay the same fees necessarily. So even though it looks like we have as many students, the Student Affairs Office actually has less money than they did in past years, in double digits in terms of doing things. And so you have to make hard decisions about what goes away when that happens. So understand that means that rec centers could have shortened hours or fewer programs. I mean, there are trade-offs as we do this. Some things are going to have to go away. And I can promise you people will fuss about that stuff too. But we still have to deal with getting costs under control. I'm with you.
We're going to take 2 more comments from the Senate, and I'm going to push to the audience. So let's go with Senator Baxter.
Appreciate it. So when interviewing the finalists for the provost, the one that didn't get it, Senator Coakley and we brought up the graduation time and how we'd like to reduce it. And he mentioned that Florida State requires 9 credit hours taken during a summer course. You don't have to take them every summer, but throughout your 4 years, you have to take at least 9 hours total. So I was thinking that might be something we could do because I know a lot of people do end up taking a 5th year here at Kennesaw. So I thought that was a great idea. So.
Some people would love that, and some people would not love that. So thank you for that. I think there one more was right here.
We're going to have Vice President
Dr. Wynn, President Wynn, welcome back. And this is not a suggestion, it's much more like a question. It's a series of questions. The first one.
You get one, she said. So.
Yeah. So.
Make it good.
Yeah. And right now, what I've noticed is we have a serious, I don't know whether it's a serious issue, but we have a lot of number of deans, provosts, and directors leaving different departments. Last week itself, Dr. Lynn Stallings, who is the director of honors program, emailed us saying that she is leaving, and almost a week and a half.
Why would anybody go to Auburn? I'm sorry, but.
And almost two weeks ago, we have Dr. Lance Askilson, who was the vice provost and the chief international officer, emailing us that he's also leaving. So we have had a lot of these emails for the past 2 or 3 months, and it's a really concerning situation. Do you think, does that worry you in the first place? And do you have a plan to combat? Do you know what the reason is for that?
Yeah, thank you. So it's a fair question, right? And when I came in, there were so many interim positions. I mean, I've hired VP of Legal Affairs, VP of Government Relations, VP of Research, the new Provost, new VP of Advancement. I mean, these are all cabinet level positions, right, that have all had to be hired. And most of them, I mean, there were some things that happened in the last couple of years, but most of them were pretty legitimate, turnover. In regard to the issues related to the deans, I'm not actually that worried about it because if you look at the turnover, this year we had 4 deans to replace, and the deans that were here that I know about either retired or they went for promotions. And so we have the few people that you've mentioned. So the Dean of Math and Science is leaving, but he's going to go be the provost at Northern Colorado, and we want that for him, right? I mean, he's worked hard and had success, and that's advancement. We're going to have to replace the Dean of the Business School. Well, I take the blame for that one because I hired the old one as the provost, right? You referenced international studies. He's going to be a provost, and the poor guy is going to Hawaii to be a provost at a university there. And so, and then architecture is moving on, but he's retiring, and we do have to let people go at some point, to retire. And so, it's example after example like that. So no, I'm not really that stressed about it. That's just kind of normal turnover. When you have 13 deans, now granted, we're replacing a lot over a 2-year period, but when you have 13 deans, and a number of associate provosts, et cetera, you're going to be doing on average like 2.5 searches a year, because the average length is 4 to 5 years for these jobs. And so that's actually pretty normal. And though we are losing some good people, I think you all should be excited. You're also going to have some people promoted from within that are very good and very talented. And as the College of the Arts, their dean was just named. I don't know if you know Ivan, the dean of the College of the Arts, but he was the interim dean. He is the single best interim dean I have ever worked with. He's amazing. And I would just put my seatbelt on. If you're anybody from the arts in here at all? Nobody? Well, they're gonna be rocking and rolling. It's already an impressive college, but they will be. So there'll be some people from the inside that get promoted up that deserve it, and then there's also going to be a lot of new people that are going to come in here with really good ideas, and they're going to come in here with high standards and expectations and excited about transforming things for you all. And there's an energy in that I think is healthy, frankly, for any organization, including universities. And so, we hate to lose the good people, but don't forget, we're taking good people from other places as well. So we're getting as good as we're given, as well. So.
Thank you. Well, I would like to take it to the audience. Say we have time for one question. If you guys have, now that we have the president, just want to make sure that your concerns are heard. Okay. Hi. Can we get her a mic, please? Senator Bradford, is there any way you can run that?
You can just use mine. It's okay.
Hi. I don't really have a question. It's more of a statement with regards to the registration for summer classes. A lot of students that I've spoken with aren't aware that financial aid covers some of the costs for summer classes. And so I believe that raising awareness to that would help increase initiative to bring on more students. I see in the science building on Kennesaw campus, they put promotional signs about summer classes, and I feel like they could add a little side note saying that financial aid
Awesome
does
idea.
cover that.
That is a great suggestion. Thank you. I really appreciate it. And a lot of people don't realize that a couple of years ago they changed Pell so that you can get Pell in the summer now as well to go to school. So I would agree. I think that's a huge oversight and awesome ideas. You guys always come up with the best stuff as well. Okay.
Well, thank you, President
you.
Witten. We are very thankful to have you.
course.
I'm not sure if anyone has any further comments, but if so, I can get you her contact information and go from there. We are so blessed to have you as our president, and thank you for taking the time to come see us.
Thank you. Oh my gosh. Let me just make clear, this isn't just a, once a semester pop by. Reach out anytime. I'm happy to meet with smaller groups of you. I'm happy to meet with individuals. If I'm really honest, the best part of my day is the time I get to spend with students. And so I mean that. So please come more. Come by and see me more. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. And now we are going to go into our next presentation, Miss Buer. I practiced. Okay. Is it on? Awesome. And so Director Watkins is pulling up her presentation. If you just wouldn't mind while she's doing that, just kind of give us a preview of what we can expect.
Okay. Hi, I am Danielle Buer, the Executive Director of Institutional Quality and Accreditation. But why I'm really here to talk about accreditation and what we're going through and what it really means. So I'm not sure if you all know, but gratefully we are accredited. And what does that mean? It means that you have a degree that you can use that's accepted if you apply to graduate school. It means that we are eligible to award financial aid. If we are not accredited, we cannot award any taxpayer money that comes from the U.S. Department of Education. Also, most employers will not hire people who graduate from an unaccredited institution. So really, the accreditation process is sort of that quality assurance, that good housekeeping seal, that your degree is worth something besides the money you paid for it. So every 10 years, an institution that is accredited goes through what we call reaffirmation. And it's about a 2-year process, and it's like a huge research project. So I remember I was an English major, and it was common for us to write 20, 30-page papers. Well, I had to write a 500-page paper with 1,800 pieces of evidence. And that took me about a year and a half, and that was due September the 10th, 2018. Well, thank you. And what did that include? It covered 74 standards that we have to demonstrate compliance with. And that 1,800 pieces of evidence included transcripts, lots of citations from the university handbook, faculty handbook, student handbook, the website, to prove that the facilities we have support student learning. The resources we have, the staff we have, support student learning. Everything we do is about faculty and student engagement. So the body that accredits us is known as Sga COC, or the Southern Association of Colleges and Schools Commission on Colleges. But the president of Sga COC will tell you that the first four letters, SACS, stand for Students Are Central to Success. So we exist to serve faculty and students, to serve the learning that takes place between faculty and students. And that 500-page paper with the evidence was my way of demonstrating to this accrediting body all the work the university does. Well, next week, actually, well, the week of March the 25th through the 28th, that body will be here on campus. Now, who is it? It's actually not employees of the accrediting body. It's a peer review process. So it's going to be the president of Texas State University, the former president of Auburn University, a director of cost analysis from North Carolina State University, a professor from University of Central Florida, what we call an observer from the University of Louisiana at Lafayette. There's also a dean of students from the University of Virginia. So a lot of, really well-known schools that you know about, because they're our peers. And so they will come and evaluate us against the report that I've submitted, as well as interviews and campus tours. I'm not sure if any of you have been invited, because we have a lot of students, but I've been working with the deans and the dean of students. So we want all majors represented, both campuses. They're also visiting the Paulding site. We tend to think about just Marietta and Kennesaw, but we actually have off-campus instructional sites, Cobb Galleria, Paulding. So this is about the entire university. And then once all of that is over, the Sga COC Board of Trustees will vote on the accreditation of KSU in December 2019. So what you see before you is really the 2-year timeline that started in December 2018 and will wrap up December 2019. So it's really a 3-year timeline, and we're sort of in the third quarter. We're not done yet, so I keep telling everyone the game's not over. We're actually doing very well, but there's still time to screw up. And, so you can't stop playing. And so that's where we are. But again, this happens once every 10 years. So you might see some people, but the goal is business as usual. We're not disrupting classes. They want to see what the Kennesaw, Marietta campuses are like every day. So any questions?
Yeah, I know. I definitely want to make myself available to your office if you need any student representation. And I'm sure that a lot of my fellow senators, I know we've got some nodding heads, want to help as well. I know I personally haven't been contacted yet, and I'm not sure if any of you have. Can you give me a nod if you've been contacted? Yes, you've got some leaders that haven't been contacted, so if you need anything.
Okay.
And I think that you wrote a book. You didn't write a paper, you wrote a book.
Yes.
So congratulations on writing a book.
Yes, not very interesting to the average person, but yes.
But you go, girl. So does anybody have any questions for Ms. Buer while we have her? Treasurer Har. Treasurer Har.
Treasurer Har, how are you? Does the, reaffirmation process change a little with the fact that KSU was recently elevated as an R2 institution?
Great question. So, R2 is a Carnegie classification, and the top will be R1. So we're literally one step away from being the top of what's classified for research universities. For Sga CSC, the classification goes from level 1 to level 6. So level 1 would be like Chattahoochee Technical College, because Sga CSC accredits all institutions from Texas to Virginia to Florida. So level 1 is based on the types of degrees you offer. So level 1 would be more of a community technical college. So up to level 6. We are level 6. So we are in the same category with University of Virginia, University of Florida, University of Georgia, all your football teams on Saturdays. The challenges come with that because we have not been at that level over 100 years like those institutions have. If you know the history, the former KSU was a 2-year college. Then it merged with Southern Poly, which had been a traditional engineering college. But if you look at University of Florida, for example, they've been a university for almost over 100 years. So we're not what I would say a mature R2 research university. So when they visit, it's my job and the book I wrote to help tell that story. You know, don't expect us to have that maturity of a University of Georgia. And it's not maturity of the people, it's the maturity of the facilities, the labs, the resources. But we're shooting for that because that's actually the expectation now. That's who our peers are. So that's what we're held to. So it's a little intimidating because we're sort of the new kid in high school almost, you know, with all these people who've been, you know, there for a long time and very successful for a long time at that level. So yes, we are level 6, which is the highest level. Good
Who
question.
do you, right? Senator Lefebvre, did you have a question? No? Okay. We're going to have time for one more question. Anybody? Awesome. Well, thank you, Ms. Buer. And
Okay.
if you wouldn't mind, like, emailing me so
Sure.
I can send you names of those that could be available next week.
Yes, that'd be
if
great.
you need us at your disposal.
Okay.
Okay.
All
Thank
right,
you so much.
Thank you.
That was awesome. So we're going to continue in officer reports. We're going to start with director reports. We're going to start with, to my left, Director Williams.
Hi, everybody. My officer report is very short. I just wanted to let everyone know that the governance committee is up and running. If anyone wants to be a part of the ad hoc, you still can. Just the ad hoc constitutional review committee. Even if you can't commit to like meeting and you just want to suggest things, open, you can hit the group me. And I think that's pretty much it in the report.
We're going to go to Director Lopez.
Hey guys, okay, so I have a few things. So I want to thank you guys first of all when I put that poll in the group me from the Academic Calendar Planning Committee about whether you guys would like to have a break in early October and shorten Thanksgiving break or just have it be the way it is now. You guys voted it was very biased, everyone, not biased, but everybody liked the way it is now. No one wanted to shorten that Thanksgiving break. So I did communicate with that with them, and then they aren't doing that now. They're going to keep it the same. So thank you so much for communicating that to me, so I could communicate that to them. Okay. The events board. Okay, so if any of you guys have been in Kennesaw campus also, I dropped it in the group me. I did create an events board, so that is not just for SGA events. So when we have announcements and you guys are like, oh, this club's doing this club is doing that, I'm writing that down. Also, like, you can come and reach out to me because I'm going to put that on the board. So if you're ever like curious about what's going on campus and what's happening internally in SGA, you can always refer to the board, and it's really pretty too, and I spent a lot of time on it, so please look at it. Also, Marietta, if you guys are looking to get a board, I can do one for you too. I don't know if there's much of a demand for it. I mean, I did put Marietta dates on the Kennesaw one, but I don't know if you guys if there's as much traffic in there. I just don't know it as well. So let me know if you want one. I will be attending both food forums that are left in the year because that's something that I'm passionate about. Also, it's an internal issue. So I know some of you guys have expressed concerns about dining on campus. So one of them, the one that's this month will be on Marietta. So if you want to come with me, please let me know. The next one will be in April, it'll be like April 23rd, and that'll be on Kennesaw. We need two things. Marketing committee. I've reached out and I haven't gotten much response. I need people who are good at reaching students to please communicate, to please reach out to me, because we, on the student activities boards, I met with the entire board, and they want students from SGA to meet with them and and talk about how they can get better communication with the student body, so that the things they're putting on that we pay for, technically, the events that we pay for, we now that we can see, like we know what's going on campus pretty much. And then homecoming committee. Please let me know if you want to be a part of that next year. They're starting to form that committee. Social. We're having our not internal affairs social technically, but the SGA social will be next week on the 19th. It will be, we were going to do it in some other place, but I decided that it's going to be out of the SGA office. We're going to have the door open and a sign, because I want people to walk by and see, oh, this isn't just a meeting room. This is a place where you can come and it's welcome, and the people there are warm. And I think it also like exposes us as a, it's so that people know where we are pretty much. New thing, very important for all of you. If you meet with an outside organization and you are planning an event, please let both myself and just let internal affairs and communications know, so that we can start promoting things and so that we know what's going on when it goes to SGA. We've had issues in the past where we are not on one accord and we are not communicating efficiently. This is going to make sure that we know what's going on. So it isn't like she knows, but he doesn't know, and now there's no one at the event. And I think, Andretti's. We will be at Andretti's tonight after. You do not have to stay long, but please pop in for a little bit. I'll only be there for like 30 minutes. If you have to be there for like, just to say hey, just to, socialize for a little bit. I know it's late and we are in the middle of March, so that says enough. So that's about it. Thanks, guys. In the report.
Hi everyone. So, where to start? So the Go Vote campaign, which was the video to promote voting that I wanted to do, didn't work out the way I planned because I'm not technologically savvy. And then when I went to record people, they weren't being very cooperative. So instead, it shifted to more like creating flyers and social media posts that go out every day, because that's much more simple. Next Wednesday, March 20th from 7 to 9, so like pretend it's an SGA meeting, is the Words of a Lover event. It's on the Kennesaw campus in the Loft Lounge. Please come, please come. Please tell people about it. It's gonna be a really fun event. It's really chill. We have students coming to perform. We have a headlining poet, which is cool because I don't think that's a thing normally. We have a live band. Communications committee did a little bonding thing last Saturday after the SGA retreat, and we went shopping together to buy decorations. That was fun. Yeah, so auditions are done for that live band secured. That's all good. Last week, Senator Bradford and I met with Nigel Harris and then a couple other individuals regarding from the Department of Sports and Recreation. So there's this thing on April 19th called the Daffodil Dash, and it's a 5K run. Originally, my goal was to try to make it a color run, but that's not really feasible for this year. But it's something that happens every year, twice a year, once in November and once in April. So we're going to try to make it a color run next year. Something that the e-board is talking about is getting SGA involved in it. Specifically, we need to promote. In general, we need to promote it. That's something that the Department of Sports and Rec has asked of us, to reach out to different student organizations to get students to show up to it. Another way we're trying to get student involvement is creating a competition between different RSOs and having kind of a canned food drive. So and those cans will go to the care center, which helps students who suffer from food insecurity here on campus. All right, last two things. So I'm still updating the website. I'm sorry that some of the changes are moving so slowly because, like I said, I'm not technologically savvy. So I'm updating officers constantly, the reports, the minutes. And then I know before it wasn't working, but now the comment, suggestion, concerns page works. And there's an email that when a student fills out a comment, question, or concern, it goes to an email that's been specifically dedicated for that. And then lastly, I would like y'all to use me as a resource. So when you plan an event, as Director Lopez said, you need to let both of us know, and then use me. If you need a flyer, I have no problem creating a flyer. If you already have a flyer, you just want it to be on the Instagram page, I can do that. And then when you have your events, try and get people to follow the Instagram page so that in the future, people know more about our events. In the report.
Thank you. And I would like to just add a side note that if any of you are technologically savvy, please reach out and work with Director Watkins. She's got a lot on her plate. I know you have a committee, but if any of you, I'm looking at the Marietta campus people, I mean Kennesaw too, but all right, it's your major, so get with it. Now we're going to go to Director Delaney.
Hey guys, so first, after the last meeting, we had Fuel for Midterms, so thank you for everyone who came out. A lot of fun. We're still working on Fuel for Finals, trying to get some contracts filled out, all those other things, but be on the lookout. We have a lot of fun stuff and a really nice budget to do some fun stuff, so we're gonna try our best. So Dr. Witten kind of hit on it pretty well, that there's a lot of stuff going on in the curriculum. Senator Benitez and I went to UPCC a couple weeks after the last meeting, and there's some really big stuff that's going down, and students should be involved. So I know I say this every time, but if you would please join me to come to UPCC meetings. The next one is March 28th. It is on Marietta campus. It's in the J Building, room 109, from 12:30 to 2. It's really important. It's going to be about if you have to pay for required classes or not, and I think when money and required classes get involved, it becomes a really hot topic. So please come, please get involved. We're the only 2 students that are there in a room of 20 plus faculty, and it's hard to be heard when there's only 2 of you. So please come join me. They're all really nice. It's just, we need more voices there. So if you're interested, please let me know. I'll be there. And you don't have to stay the whole time if you can't, but even just coming in for a little bit to kind of see what's going on, what they're talking about is really important. This has been a conversation for at least the past 2 meetings. It keeps getting tabled because we can't come to a decision. So please come. Yeah. Also, I'm going to be having some meetings coming up with the Provost. We're still scheduling them. So if you're interested, please join me, especially if you're considering doing this position next year. Really important that we meet the new Provost. So please let me know if you're interested so we can all schedule meetings that fits around everyone's schedules. And so lastly, elections. Voting has started. It's open. Make sure you guys vote. Just a few reminders. If you are participating in elections, you can only campaign for yourself and only yourself. If you're not sure if you can say it, just tell them to go vote and click the little I button beside everyone's names, and it tells them their picture and their platform, and they can make that decision on their own. So just know that everybody's been given their first and second official warning, so after this point, you're immediately disqualified. No ifs, ands, or buts. At this point, we have 770 votes, which is pretty awesome, so keep encouraging people. And lastly, it closes at exactly March 18th at 11:45 p.m. Not 11:59, because Owl Life doesn't like us, but 11:45 p.m. is when it closes. So get the votes in at that time. And report.
So first off, if you have not yet signed up for a one-on-one for this month, please do that. The link is in the group me. I will drop a link to the sign up again because I know it's kind of buried at this point. Also, just a reminder, if you have not yet gotten your campus engagement event scheduled, it's getting down to the wire to get those scheduled. You only have 2 weeks in advance that needs to be done. So please think about that if you have not gotten on top of that yet. On that vein of events, if you would like your event that you're hosting to be added to the Google Calendar, please send me a message or speak to me directly. I'm trying really hard to kind of like keep up with everything that's posted in the social chat, but I lose track. So if you could just like send me a direct message with your event and the details of that, I can add that for you. Also, Day of Service is coming up on March 23rd. It's a really, really important event. It's a great way for us as an organization to support our community and interact with different people from both Kennesaw and people in the surrounding area. So this is a mandatory event for SGA. If you are not able to attend, you need to email the secretary with your reason why. But I really, really hope to see as many of you there as possible. Please try to come out because it's going to be a lot of fun and it's going to be a great time. Also, just a reminder, officer reports due last day of the month. Please turn those in. And that's about it. End of report.
Same. In the report.
Treasurer Har.
Treasurer Hard. Hey guys, so I just wanted to quickly review over a couple things before I got into a quick PowerPoint presentation. Our recent spending since we've last chatted was 3 things. Senator Benitez held an event where she requested $48. It was co-sponsored with the Office of Orientation. President Keller requested $148 for new name tags for some of our newer senators. And then Director Watkins requested $40 for her Words of a Lover event. Upcoming expenditures, we have about approximately $16,000-ish left in the budget. A big chunk of that, almost a third of that, is going to go to spring stipends. Another third of that is probably going to go to all of our conference registration fees and everything like that we have to do annually. And that pays for conference registration in the fall as well as the spring. So it's a yearly fee that we pay, and then it's paid for both semesters. Fuel for finals, as Director Delaney talked about. We got some big things planned for you guys. And office supplies. That includes the things that you guys have inputted on Secretary Torres' forms, as well as we're looking at a printer for the Marietta office, because that thing looks like a dinosaur. Very scary. Stipends, our next committee meeting is shooting for next week. Today, paperwork was distributed at our exec meeting, and that was like in-copy hard forms of paperwork you need to fill out to get paid by the school. And that's just something that the Constitution and bylaws mandates that I bring to exec board meetings. Most everyone is signed up, so we're just waiting on 1 or 2 more people, and that's just on them at this point, but we are working with them to get everything sorted out so that they do get paid for their hard work this year. Paperwork that was also distributed, it included electronic documents. So the stipends committee updates an Excel sheet through Google Docs. Each per member of the committee is assigned 2 people besides me, and I'm just in charge of looking at President Keller's stipend. And the stipends are updated. It has a record of when they were last updated, so all of eBoard can actually go and check those documents as we go along in the semester. That's essentially all for spending and stipends. In terms of SABAC, not much has necessarily changed since our last meeting. The last SGA meeting we had was also the last SABAC meeting. The next SABAC meeting will be 3/20, and the annual budget requests are due March 29th this month at noon. And I just want to make sure we are included in that, so your e-board is working very hard to get together a budget and get it passed by you guys before we actually have to get it viewed and approved by SABAC. And President Keller is going to be in charge of actually presenting it to SABAC, and then SABAC will make a decision at that point. Something that I brought up at the last meeting that I kind of want to inform you guys that we weren't sure when we were going to get a response back from the fiscal year 19, fiscal year 20 changes. However, I sent Director Watkins a PowerPoint presentation that they showed at the budget discussion meetings to all of the RSOs, and I want to share it with you guys. Being members of an RSO, this applies to us, and it's kind of a good review. So, one second. Awesome. So right off the bat, I want to talk about a couple things that were maintained. Some things that have been maintained from the last year's process was that $500 per individual organization for travel support per travel occurrence, but there's no preset max limit on how many requests you can submit, but there is like a 500 per individual event stipulation that has been maintained. And then we also maintained the $500 maximum annual promotion budget, but you are still eligible to request promotion funding when you submit those requests for your programming requests to SABAC. So you can say, hey, we're XYZ organization, we're gonna have an event on this day, and we're requesting this money for the event, and then X amount for promotion. So you can still introduce those supplementary requests, but the $500 annual request was maintained. So if you guys wouldn't mind directing your attention towards the screen, I'm going to try to get through it real quick because a lot of this is information I've already said and that you already know, but I just want to make sure you guys know and that our constituents know. So SABAC is the Student Activities Budget Advisory Committee. It's comprised of 10 members, majority students, so 6 students, and then 4 faculty and staff. The chair is appointed from the Dean of Students, and I co-chaired by myself. Can I get to the next slide? Reviews annual budget request submissions in addition to supplementary budget requests from all RSOs at KSU. SABAC is an advisory committee, so that means any decisions we make are technically not set in stone until the Vice President of Student Affairs lays her eyes on it and gives it the seal of approval. But we do play a big role in assisting the VPSA with that. Our protocol manual can be found at sabac.kennesaw.edu, as well as any voting information, meeting agendas, meeting schedules, or submission links, or resources that RSOs might genuinely have questions about when submitting their request, whether that be supplementary requests or annual budget requests. So the next slide talks about the FY20 annual budget request process. Like you may be aware, all RSOs are now welcome to submit an annual budget request. It's encouraged. The university wants to make sure that all RSOs are taking the time to plan ahead and really get on a set schedule of using their funds, so it kind of reduces the time that we have to use to view supplementary requests throughout the year. Like I said, the date, it's up there, but it is due at 12 noon on the last Friday of March, which is March 29th of 2019. So please, if you have any constituents who have questions or concerns about that, to reach out to me or any member of SABAC for that matter. So this kind of talks about where I said all recommendations are reviewed by the VPSA and then given the seal of approval if approved. Would you mind keep going? So this is really important to RSOs, how SABAC makes our decisions. We really try to do it on a consistent viewpoint neutral requirements. That all RSO officers and members must be currently enrolled as students at KSU. Your applications and submissions must be complete and submitted by the deadline. So that goes into effect with the March 29th deadline I was talking about, as well as the 1 month prior deadline you have for your supplementary requests. So all events or activities funded through student activity fees, which is what student government operates off of as well, must be open to all KSU students. So requests must accurately estimate the likely cost considering the number of students likely to attend and then the direct connection between the amount requested and the proposed event or activity. If you wouldn't mind keep going. And gotcha, thank you. If you wouldn't mind, keep going. So this applies to us as well, and I just thought it would be a good review. Items that SABAC cannot fund: alcohol, tobacco, drugs, or other illegal or restricted items. Hopefully that's a no-brainer for all of us here. But actual or in-kind contributions to any campaigns or political parties, off-campus organizations or agencies, related activities, and fees for civic organizations. Fundraisers, donation, or gratuities, with certain exceptions, are not funded by SABAC. Scholarships and individual membership fees cannot be covered by SABAC funds as well, including prizes, promotional items, and gifts and personal items. We also cannot pay sales tax, so that applies to you guys as well. If you ever request funds for any of your events, we have a tax exemption form that is currently located in the Kennesaw SGA office that you can make copies of and bring to vendors when you're going to get whatever you're going to get from their business or corporation. So traditionally, these items are probably 80 to 90% of all items funded by SABAC, or what we see in requests. It's typically travel support, promotional, and programming budgets, or one-time equipment special event projects. All right. Most of this you guys already all should know. I don't want to take up too much time. We are going to forward this out to all of you that you can review it and then distribute it to your constituents after the meeting. So thank you for your time.
All right, Secretary Tor.
Okay, I'm going to make my report really short. Just a reminder, guys, when you are submitting a campus engagement request form, please go on the KSU reservation site and make sure that the place that you want at the time and date is available. And another thing with that is a lot of times if you go, you'll see the place and it may have nothing scheduled, but make sure you click on it because a lot of rooms and places aren't reservable. Additionally, when you are submitting those forms, make sure that you include backup options because a lot of times places aren't available even if they looked like they were when you went on the reservation site. And then lastly, also just remember, just for now and future meetings, to please not turn the microphones off when you're done using. Just set it down next to you, pass it to someone, don't turn the button, anything. Okay, end of report.
My biggest pet peeve. Vice President.
Vice President Abdul Salam. And yes, so we had our retreat last Saturday, and thank you so much, JJ. It was wonderful, but we got a lot of feedback on our performance within our group, and it wasn't a lot positive, but I'd say that we can improve it. And looking at the way we were within my group and the other groups, we were all really honest at that point. So I really appreciate that, and that's the first starting point of where we get that trust. So I believe we are on the right track, even though we don't have a lot of time. We could still make progress, and I've been saying that for the past 2 months. We still can make progress. So I guess that next time when you kind of feel something or when there is some kind of conflict going inside you, try to reach out to a person that you feel would be affected by it and the person that you feel towards it. That's the first step where you actually start kind of dealing with all this stuff. We don't really need to hold it inside us and kind of make a big deal before it becomes a big deal. And the election, I'll repeat the same thing that Director Delaney said. The election has started, and make sure you go around and talk to people, not only the groups, but also individual students who are not really part of groups. Try to make them aware of what is going on. Just get them on board. Try to make them, yeah, that's it. Yeah, just let them know. And a specific information, the registration is opening up on after March 18th, and this is not just for the summer, but also for the fall. The most important information is that we should make sure that there are no holds on our account at that point. A lot of the students, what they do is they expect everything to go smoothly at that point, and when they open up, when the registration opens up and they try to register, that's when they realize that there is holds over there. And as you know, a lot of the general education courses go off easily, so the students, you know, the time is really precious for the registration at that point. So just make the students aware, as well as it applies to you as well. And another thing, I'll just keep it fast. The last thing, just I'll be meeting, I'm trying to meet with Dr. Casey White. She's out for a conference till March 14, but I'm planning to meet her next week. And she's the Vice President of the Student Affairs. And please let me know if you have any concerns, if you have any questions that you need to ask her, and I'll let you know the date that I'm gonna meet her, most probably by the end of the week, if she replies. All right, thank you so much. That's the end of the report.
Awesome. Hi, guys. So I've had caffeine, so I'm going to talk really fast. So we've already touched, I'm serious, I'm like, woo. So Field for Midterms, that was awesome. My highlight is, I know Senator Ray came up with this idea that in order to like get a donut or promo, you had to give, you had to say what you would want SGA to work on. And I feel like we got a lot of really good feedback that way. So if you guys are doing campus engagements, take that beautiful suggestion box, whoever made it, worked hard on it, so take it with you and get people to comment. So give you a preview of what my schedule has looked like since we met last. I spoke to the KSU Foundation Board of Trustees. They are the ones who fund your scholarships. So I was blessed to represent all the students and speak with them. If you want to learn more about what that conversation was like, let me know. So the Unity events, I want to praise each and every one of you who advertised that event, who supported it, and who came. Thank you. Those events are the first start. I was so encouraged to see students be vulnerable, and we were in a room of strangers, and by the end of it, by 9 p.m., we were family. We got a lot of really good feedback, and that is something that's going to continue. I do have something to ask of you. Tomorrow from 1 p.m. to 2 p.m., they are having a recap meeting that I cannot go to, and I would like to send someone from SGA, reach out to most of the executive board, but if any of you want to go and follow up with them and try to plan something else, please let me know. So it is tomorrow from 1 to 2. If you are available and want to go, the people who planned the Unity event. So it's a follow-up meeting to that event. If you want to go, please see me after the meeting. I would love to send one of you. Please go. I also met with President Whitten on the 1st, and as you saw, we are very blessed to have her. If you want to find out more information on what that conversation looked like, let me know. Also, thank you to those of us that went to KSU Miracle. I had so much fun. I know Tariq and I had a dance battle, and it was awesome. Congratulations to SGA for raising over $1,500. What can we do next year? You know what I mean? You guys, most of you are staying in this organization or have hopes to. So let's get that ball rolling. You know, the grand total was over $300,000 for these kids, and that is just a blessing in its own. So I also went to the football committee meeting on the 4th, which is a lot of fun. Basically, the objective for that committee is how to raise ticket sales, so how to get more students to come. We spitballed a lot of really cool ideas about just how to get students specifically from the tailgating lot to the game. So if you have any burning ideas or desires that you would like to see happen this next season, let me know. I know Tariq is on that as well, and so is Director Watkins. Then we went to the Student Technology Fee Committee, so thank you for Bailey and JJ for coming to that, and I know Vanessa will be there next time. And this committee is one that I've served on for a while. The objective is we allocate over $6 million of your student fees to help fund technology and stuff like that, like Surface Pros for athletes, like all kinds of stuff. So let's talk about the retreat for a second. Thank you for the 22 of you that came. I was so excited to get to bond with you. I actually have carried with me since then all of your comments and all of the ideas and your ratings and everything, because this is something that as your president I take very seriously. And I was, you know, it was heartwarming to see you guys be candid. And it was fun to see those next leaders step up and just see you guys work as a team. I will be dropping a survey in the group me probably tomorrow, because I want your feedback on that and how we can, if you guys want to do it again, what you'd want to learn next, because I'm meeting with Judy on Friday to strategize for next time. She wants to do a recap, and then she also wants your feedback. So look for that doodle or that survey. So elections, today is day 3. We've talked about it. I've only received 2 text messages from people. I'm going to take you out to lunch. I'm a fun lunch date, okay? I'm going to take out the person who shows me that they have just gotten the word out about elections in a fun way. Again, Director Delaney did talk about like what you're allowed to do, what you're not, so don't screw that up. Just, you know, let's be fair. So
show me your ideas. I've only gotten 2 people, and there's like all of you in this room. So how can we get creative and get students to vote? Things on my schedule coming. I will be at a conference next weekend with all of your presidents of other SGAs in the state. So if you want to know what that agenda looks like, I can send it to you once I get it, and we can totally chat. I've got lunch with Witten, and like a group of us and Director Lopez will be there on the 20th. Football ticket committee meeting on the 20th. And then the Chief Diversity Officer, we are scheduling another meeting. So if you have comments or questions about that, I'll do my best to answer. Then the food forum. So that's my report. Now that you've heard us talk, I'm going to move into open forum. And this is when you guys get to tell the rest of the Senate and specifically me, I want to know what you guys have got going on. I know you have been busy. And please, this is your time to share with us anything that you might need as well. So please get the mic and tell us what you've been up to. Yeah, hi.
So yesterday, Stephen and I met with ATO. That's a fraternity going to be joining us in the fall. I'm really excited to them. I think they're going to bring something awesome to campus. They asked a lot about how SGA was involved with the students and also how the students from both campuses interacted. So I think a lot of good information came from that, and I think they're going to do very well.
Senator Coakley, I'll try to keep this one short. So kind of an overview of what I've done over the past 2 weeks. Dean search going on in our college. The 4 candidates that were chosen to come to campus came to campus in the last week or so, week and a half. I had the chance to have lunch with those candidates along with those students in the crowd. Thank you very much. We had some great candidates come on campus. They were good, all that good stuff. We had our final committee meeting this past Wednesday. Faculty Senate meeting, I attended that. Something that we're trying to get set up in our college is a forum where the dean can come out and like all the department heads, stuff like that. Students can ask questions. It'll be a fun time. We're trying to get that set up though. That's the big stuff.
Yeah, Senator Bradford.
Hey, so as stated before by President Keller, we had a meeting with a bunch of faculty about getting students to participate more in football games. A great idea that we had was, students.
It's like it's going to be a student like place inside the stadium.
Word.
Thanks. So this would be an opportunity for students to come from the tailgate to like continue the party. Obviously, there's not going to be any of those fun beverages, but we're working on creative ways to get students from the tailgate lot. So it's going to be like a whole section for you guys to get lit.
And we have students who will be on campus. Well, hopefully we have students that will be on campus. Was that a surprise?
What?
Oh, yeah, we have students that will be on campus promoting football and promoting just the Kennesaw,
ambassadors as
Kennesaw
well.
State culture. Yeah.
Yes.
So we're working on that. We'll update you as that goes along.
It's going to be a lot of fun. So you guys need to get your free student tickets to the football games. That's something else we talked about.
And free apparel.
I don't remember that.
Remember for the ambassadors.
Oh yeah, so
Yeah.
we're talking about we'll catch you up.
Yeah.
Anything else for open forum? Coakley. It's gonna be that way. What are you doing?
Cool, really quick, I didn't mention this the first time, but there's going to be a new parking lot coming to Marietta, hopefully in fall 2018.
Boom. Boom. There you go, Marietta. 2019. We know what you meant. Anything else for open forum? Come on, guys. I know you've been busy. Tell me about it. I want to know. I want to take you out to lunch. So tell me how you've been cranking things out. All right. Okay, we're feeling introverted. It's fine. So seeing nothing else for open forum, we are going to move into new business, and I am excited to welcome Senator Hale and Director Lopez as they talk about, is it just going to be you? As they talk about the Senator Training Program. So that's going to be awesome. We've got a mic for you.
Thank you. Am I talking loud enough? Sorry, I'm very soft-spoken. So using the bylaws, Robert's rules, and the assistance of some of you guys, I made a senator training PowerPoint. The use of this will hopefully, after elections, we'll have a senator training event, as well as whenever we have open seats, our Senate leads can use this as a resource to train anyone who gets elected into the open seats. On top of that, we also can edit this for other positions to help train some of our e-board members or anything like that. And hopefully there's a very little known senator training handbook that is very outdated, includes mostly about senator stipends, that definitely needs updated, so we can use this to update our well-known senator handbook. And so I'm just going to fly on through this because everyone knows their job as senators at this point. But I just wanted to get y'all's feedback, just show you the contents of it and everything like that. So first we start out with an introduction to SGA. So go ahead. It gives our mission a very important and vital part for all of us to be able to move further in our position and know our goals. So go ahead. Our org chart, which we all know. Dress code, very important. So I wanted to go into the order of business during the meetings, just give an explanation of each item, because some people may not know the difference between announcements or new business or old business. It just gives a nice little explanation of everything. You can move forward, and this is just a continuation of that. Also gave a brief explanation of Robert's rules. You can see right here, I just explained how to make a motion, everything like that. Gives just the whole little general gist of that. Okay. Now moving forward into the Senate position. So it covers how we have to attend all the general session meetings, as well as the attendance policy in terms of notifying the secretary and everything like that, as well as tardy policy. We also have to meet with our dean or an appropriate administrator if we do not have a dean, because I know some of us don't have a dean. And then, of course, creating a campus engagement event, which we'll look further in the next slide. So this explains how to reserve a room or table, because that's a very big question that I think a lot of people have. So you go through reservations.kennesaw.edu to make sure that you have an event space and a backup event space. And then you move forward to fill out a form on OwlLife. It's pretty self-explanatory. And then also how to request money for an event. So you just fill out another form. So go ahead. Moving forward on more requirements and responsibilities, it explains, of course, the office hours policy per the bylaws, as well as meeting with your Senate lead and which committee you need to stand on, and your officer report due at the end of each month. This is just an example. We might need a better example because mine's probably not the best example, but we can replace that later, so go ahead. Just an explanation of the penalty system, just demerits, what you can get demerits for, the process of getting a demerit, getting an email and everything like that, and then how 3 demerits convert into a strike. This is just the process of the strike system, and then moving forward, just a general gist of how impeachment works. Just hopefully we won't have to know about that ever, and that's it. So I just wanted to get anyone's feedback, if anyone thinks certain things need to be added, subtracted, anything like that.
Yeah, let's take a moment and applaud you guys for this. Is on behalf of everyone that is going to benefit from this, thank you to everyone that had their hands in this. I think that this is going to work wonders, so I really appreciate you guys taking the time. So let's start with Senator McGinnis.
Senator for Non-Traditional Students, great job. That was wonderful. I think it'll be very useful, like Carly was saying, for future senators. I think there should be a whole full-on training for those senators. I know when I was a new senator, we also were required to complete the intern program, and I found that very helpful. I was just saying that it seems very geared towards college senators when you were briefly describing the duties. So maybe just add another little section there doesn't have to be a whole bunch about how it works to be a commission senator for meeting with like, you know, department heads and stuff and that kind of thing. It's not a whole lot.
Thank you. And just to speak to Carly's point, just shout out to everyone who's helped me with this. I had a few directors, I had Senate lead, and everything like that. And I just want to give a shout out to everyone.
Awesome. I know, and to your point, the Senate leads would work with the senators as they came in so they could cater that section to them, you know? I think it's awesome. So anybody else? Senator Bradford.
You did good.
I can't stop. Like this, I'm blown away. Like really, this is going to be awesome.
Thank you.
Any further questions or comments? Director Watkins in the back.
My question would be, would you make a separate one for e-board positions? Because I know, like, I don't think that necessarily e-board position, like, all of that information should be on the same one, because most people wouldn't need that information. But I think, like, this is awesome, and it would be really also awesome for people who haven't, if they've never been on an e-board position and then they get one.
So this could be applicable to the intern program as well, but the penalty system portion of this and the general overview to SGA could be applicable to e-board, but possibly making a separate PowerPoint, of course, just tailored towards the different positions since they are very different positions, and just maybe have like an e-board PowerPoint or just however you guys think would fit.
So we're actually working on that as an executive board. All of us, I've tasked your executive board with creating a pamphlet for the new person. So where this came from is I'm like a total nerd with like political shows, and when the new president of the United States is sworn in, the previous president leaves a letter on the desk for that person on their first day. So that's what the objective for this is going to be, is your executive board members are going to create kind of your do's and don'ts. I know for me, mine's going to be like a book of like resources and stuff that they can use. So I feel that could alleviate a little bit of something on your plate, Senator Hale. We've got time for maybe one more comment or two. Senator McGinnis.
Senator for non-traditional students. I was just thinking that maybe on that note, maybe like all the commission senators and the college senators could get together to like list all of the colleges, Kennesaw, Marietta, and how many senators, so that can be updated per, thing to add to that for, it doesn't necessarily have to put it on Ashley, but like people could just say, hey, and then the commission senators all get together. Because I know one thing that gets tricky with commission senators is defining your constituency sometimes. So that would be a neat thing if we, like, all of us contributed to a thing too.
Yeah, I'm never going to say no to you guys working together on something productive. So,
and I think that would be a great point for governance committee, because governance committee does work on the particular clause within the bylaws in which how many people should be appointed, if you were speaking on that, as well as putting in more specificity in the responsibilities of the commission chairs.
Good vocabulary word. Senator Benitez.
I think you have a really good start on what you have so far, and I would just like to personally make myself available to you as coming from a way of being a senator for a college and a commission seat. So yeah, if you need anything, just let me know.
Thank you.
I love this whole fam talk we got going on. I think that too, going forward, as Director Williams alluded to, if you are interested in revising the Constitution, this would be a good segue, because as she talked about, the ad hoc committee is combing through, and I know the executive board are meeting again next week to comb through the Constitution, try to get things rolling, which is a good segue to what you've got going on too. So I just commend all of you that had hands in this. I want to do a big cartwheel. This is awesome. So do we have any last comments before we just give you another standing ovation? Hi, Director Delaney.
Director Delaney, so just kind of like a point of information, Ron was able to give me all the numbers for all the colleges, so if you need those numbers or anyone needs those numbers, I have the exact numbers, so you can let me know and I can forward that to you. For how many to appoint and stuff like that.
Let's do another.
So if anyone needs me, my email is ahale23, so.
Drop that in the group me, girl. Thank you again. I can't say it enough how efficient that's going to be. So moving through new business, are there any resolutions that need to be presented? Anything that I'm not aware of? Okay, so now we are finished with new business. We're going to move into announcements, and this is time for the audience and the Senate to announce any non-SGA related activities that you guys got going on. These announcements can also be put on our beautiful event board that Director Lopez has wonderfully created, so keep that in mind as you're spewing these out. Who would like to go first? I see Senator Coakley.
Senator Coakley, not necessarily an event, but I'd just like to recognize one of the students from the College of Engineering and Engineering Technology, Cindy Vogt, for being recognized nationally by one of the professional aeronautics chapter.
You go, girl.
She's got a whole article on like our website, and she's been in the Sentinel and all that crazy stuff, so yeah.
Wow, celebrity, what's up? That's awesome. Awesome. So anything further for announcements, Senator Bradford?
Hey, how you guys doing? I don't know, well, you guys know by now. Me and Jessica are on the track and field team, and we do have a track meet at Georgia Tech this weekend. We very rarely have meets in Georgia, and we kind of kick butt. So y'all should totally come out. Yeah, that's it.
Drop it in the group me.
Most def.
Create an event.
Yeah.
In the group me. Director Watkins.
Okay. Hey y'all, so the Department of Career Planning and Development is like gearing up because on Wednesday it's the All Majors Fair. So like we're all in we're all in college. We're all trying to get jobs. You know, we talked about trying to graduate. You need, when you graduate, you need a job. So if you want more information about internships or jobs or whatever in your fields, All Majors Fair is Wednesday. Wednesday is super important because that's from 12 to 4, and then from 7 to 9 is the Words of a Lover event. Okay, so do them both. In preparation for the career fair, Monday, the 18th, I will give you the exact time because I don't remember right now. In social sciences, there's a career readiness event, so there's looking at your resume, I believe also your cover letter, helping you do some interview practice, just little things that you'll need in preparation for the career fair on Wednesday.
Beautiful. And I heard from Amanda Long, and she has given me the PowerPoint presentation that she wanted to use on Saturday. So I'll be dropping that in the group me for you guys as well to get you ready for that career fair. Are there any further comments from the Senate before I move to the audience? Hi.
Greet Get Down is March 23rd, 7 p.m. I don't have an exact location yet, but as soon as I find out, I will. Oh, is it confirmed going to be there? I heard it wasn't. Yes, it is. Okay. Marietta Amphitheater. There you go. Event Center. I lied. Event Center. It's going to be on this campus. So if you're looking to go see a fun show after a great day of some community service, come out.
Also, for that career fair, y'all have an app where you can see everybody, so y'all should download that before you go because it's kind of cool. My phone's dead. I'm sorry. Career Fair Plus.
In case you guys have not seen my advertisement, my post a million times already, my Know Your Legal Rights event is tomorrow night. It's going to be in the Perlman building, HS 1000. When you walk in, I should be standing right there in case you've never been in that building before. So we're going to have an attorney, and he's very smart. He's like the top 40 in Atlanta. And if you have questions about your legal rights, honestly, come out. I think it's going to be a really informative event. It's tomorrow. Sorry, 6 to 8:30 p.m. Perlman 1000.
Can we get this man a mic, please?
Thank you very much, Senator Rahman. As you all know, we all take mental health very seriously in our student community because we want to make sure everyone has the access to mental health resources they need to do their very best and be their very best selves. And the, excuse me, The Counseling Services Center is having an event next week for Suicide Prevention Week. It starts on Monday, runs through Friday, starting on Monday with painting events on the green from 11 to 3 p.m. and ending on Friday with a showing of the Avengers, Infinity War, not Endgame, Infinity War. At about 6 p.m. in the Student Center University rooms. So if you guys would want to come out and show your support, I think student government would make really good candidates and leaders to promote Suicide Prevention Week. Thank you.
Can you please drop all of those in the group me? If there's a flyer that has all the dates, that would be wonderful.
Will do. Thank you.
So we can pass that off to communications. Anything from the Senate before I turn it to the audience? Anybody? All right, audience member, did you have something? We've got one here for you. Back that way.
Hey everyone, I'm Cindy Vo. So I have 3 big announcements for us. I'm going to be able to represent the school in 3 major ways. I'm going to be going to Congress Tuesday for Congressional Day Aerospace. The following Thursday, I'm going to be at the Georgia Capitol for American Cancer Society. So that's a big deal. The week after, I'm going back to Congress for Childhood Cancer with American Cancer Society. So that is some good things I'm representing the school for. So we do have a platform, and the fact that we're connected, we should use each other so we can make our school better known, and then we can have a community amongst each other for being students. So that's all I gotta say.
Hey, do me a favor and see me after the meeting, because I have a question for you.
Okay.
Okay?
Sounds good.
Awesome. Anything else for announcements? All right. Well, this is your favorite time, ladies and gentlemen. Is there a motion on the floor to adjourn the meeting? Senator McGinnis, seconded by Senator Duclair. All in favor? All opposed? Any abstentions? This motion is passed. We will see you at Andretti's. Thank you guys for a wonderful meeting. Thank you for being here on time and having good questions. Come see me if you need me.